Riots sweep China as citizens clash with police tear gas. Economic collapse pushes people to despair. Welcome back. Please sit tight as we dive in.
干了10年，车间说停就停。
Imagine working at the same place for 10 whole years, believing you had a steady job and income, only to find out one day that the workshop where you work has been shut down without any warning. No notice, no explanation. Suddenly, your monthly salary plunges from over 5,000 yen to barely more than 1,000. You weren't fired, and you didn't quit. You were just left in the dark, unsure of what was happening and what to do next. This is exactly what happened to a large group of employees at Wahaha, one of China's biggest and most famous food and beverage companies. Known across the country, Wahaha has been a household name for many years. But recent times have been tough. China's economy has been slowing down, and with that, many businesses have faced big problems. A wave of factory closures and mass layoffs has hit the country, and even an old giant like Wahaha isn't safe from this pressure. The company has been quietly closing several factories over the last few weeks, causing shock and frustration among its workers. Many employees say Wahaha hasn't been honest with them. Instead of officially laying workers off or telling them what's going on, the company has been using indirect and sneaky methods to push people out. For example, some workers were offered to switch to cleaning or sales jobs where their pay depends on commissions, meaning they might end up earning very little. Others were told to move to factories in different cities, far from their homes and families, with no real support. A notice was sent out claiming that the factories had to stop production because of disagreements among shareholders. But this letter had no official stamp or company name, making it look suspicious. The options given to workers weren't fair at all. Accept a huge pay cut for up to 2 months, take lower-paying jobs, or relocate. The workers say these tactics are meant to force them to quit on their own, so the company doesn't have to pay severance or other compensation. Understandably, this has made the workers angry and desperate. They have staged protests, standing in front of the factory gates and demanding fair treatment and payment. One frontline production worker told reporters, "We still don't have any clear answers from the company. They just ignore us completely." Even after months of shutdowns and protests, Wahaha has not provided a reasonable solution. More than 10 of their factories have closed, and over 1,500 workers have joined rights protection groups, organizing themselves to fight for justice. Wahaha says it's following legal procedures to close the factories, but no specific details about compensation or future plans have been shared. Many people on social media criticize Wahaha for hiding behind its strong, government-backed image while sacrificing the well-being of ordinary workers. But Wahaha isn't the only big company facing problems. China State Construction Engineering Corporation, CSCC, the largest construction and real estate company in China, is also having major issues with paying workers. From May 8th to 10th, 2025, over 1,000 workers at 6 construction sites in Shenzhen, a city in southern China, went on strike because their wages were delayed. Workers blocked entrances to the building sites and protested loudly. Some of these workers said they have only received small, living allowances of 1,500 to 2,000 yuan since the beginning of the year instead of their full wages. The payments they were promised at the end of April still haven't come through. This kind of wage delay has been a long-standing problem in the construction industry, but the recent strikes across multiple projects at the same time show just how serious the company's financial troubles have become. The real estate market in China has been slowing down for a while now, and money has become harder to come by. This has put huge pressure on companies like CSCC. The construction workers, who are at the front lines, often end up being the first to suffer when companies run into money problems. They go months without proper pay while still working hard. Similar problems have been reported in other places too. In Chitai City, a mining company named Longmei hasn't paid its workers for over 3 months. Along with unpaid wages, the company stopped paying for medical insurance and other benefits like Social Security and housing funds. When workers fall sick, they have to cover hospital bills themselves, which puts a huge financial burden on families. In Hunan Province, workers at an electric power company called Datang Huang Electric Power Company Limited have also protested because they haven't been paid for several months. Many employees gathered outside the company offices, holding banners and shouting slogans to demand the wages they are owed. The company promised that funds were being arranged but took no concrete action. Some workers said they had gone 3 months without pay, making it impossible to pay rent or buy food. This wave of wage problems hasn't stopped at China's borders. In Hong Kong, a major city nearby, construction workers have also been suffering from unpaid wages. Reports show that 27 construction sites have wage delays, and workers keep protesting for their money. This is unusual in Hong Kong, where protests are usually rare. But the economic slowdown and increased competition from mainland companies have pushed many construction firms into financial trouble. These troubles aren't just about money, they affect people's daily lives in many ways. For example, a heartbreaking story went viral online about an elderly woman who was very sick and needed money for treatment. Her family went to the bank, but the bank refused to give them money unless the woman herself came and passed a long and tiring facial recognition process, even though she was seriously ill and could hardly move. After 2 hours of trying, the woman passed away. The bank later gave the family some money to cover funeral costs, but said it wasn't compensation. Many people online were furious about how cold and uncaring the bank's behavior was. Homebuyers are also feeling the impact. In Guangxi, a group of people who paid in advance for apartments in a commercial plaza found that construction stopped years ago, and the developer disappeared. With no way to contact the developer or government departments for help, some owners climbed onto the rooftop of the unfinished building and displayed banners demanding answers and accusing the developer of breaking promises. The site was quickly sealed off afterward. Female graduates and other workers have tried to claim overdue wages at companies but were often treated roughly or thrown out. People watching these events online criticize the companies, comparing their behavior to that of criminals. Even though the government has released videos and statements claiming that citizens have freedom of speech, assembly, and protest, many social media platforms block comments on sensitive issues, and those who speak up can be ignored or punished. Without independent courts, labor unions, or NGOs to protect them, workers often feel they have nowhere to turn. As a result, protests and strikes become their only way to demand what they're owed, even if it means risking their safety. In some places, ordinary citizens have started to resist more boldly. For example, in a village in Hainan province, residents strongly opposed the government's plan to build a huge cemetery nearby. They feared it would ruin their living environment. When construction was about to begin, hundreds of villagers gathered to protest. The situation escalated quickly, with clashes between villagers and police. Videos showed police using tear gas and even an officer pulling out a handgun to intimidate protesters. But instead of backing down, the villagers stood their ground. The project was eventually suspended, marking a rare victory for the community. These stories show how frustration is growing among workers and ordinary people in China. As more companies run into money troubles and the government's debts increase, it's the everyday citizens who bear the brunt. Public services like police, hospitals, and banks could soon face similar problems with paying their employees, which might lead to larger social unrest. All of this is about much more than just money. It's about fairness, dignity, and respect for the people who keep the economy and society running. When workers aren't paid or treated properly, it hurts families and communities. It also raises serious questions about the future. What kind of society will be left for the next generation if these problems continue? The rise of the internet means more people are learning about these issues, but those who expose corruption or defend ordinary people's rights often face punishment. Journalists revealing dangerous food practices have been attacked or jailed, having their work censored. Many worry that the only way to solve problems is to silence those who speak up. Experts warn that China's economic slowdown, combined with wage arrears and financial troubles in key sectors, could threaten social stability and even the government's control. Public sector workers like police officers, hospital staff, and bank employees form the backbone of the country's order. If they don't get paid, protests could spread quickly. Local governments are deeply in debt. Some estimates put the total at nearly 94 trillion yuan. Tax money isn't enough to cover debts and pay workers. This creates a dangerous situation where more wage delays and layoffs become the norm. All these challenges highlight how critical it is to protect workers' rights and ensure fair treatment. Without real solutions, Social unrest will only grow, affecting everyone. The future depends on how these issues are handled today,